years. His interests are in secure programming, cryptography, open source and firewalling techniques. For the last few years, he has been breaking mostly bank and telecom web applications in the Asia-Pacific region, as well as performing penetration tests for them. Originally from France, Fabrice has been staying in Singapore for the last 5 years. So ladies and gentlemen, do join me in welcoming Mr. Fabrice Marie, hacking internet banking applications.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to apologize for being sitting. I will not speak very loud. I fell sick just before coming here. So the goal of this presentation, basically, there's nothing technical. I believe there's loads of good presentation on how to perform properly web attacks. So instead, what I'll show you is I will just demystify a little bit what's behind internet banking, and I'll show you just how simple it is to perform an attack. And this presentation is also focusing on how to actually conduct proper procurements for internet application. You get taken advantage of every single time and you ask for more, so I'll show you how to avoid that. So what we're going to talk about are basically the usual attacks. I won't spend so much time on that. I will look at two kinds of attack, the read attack and the write attack, which will be the frauds, and mostly procurements and real-life statistics based on the last few applications we've audited. So all this is based on live results. All this has been out there. So I'll be quick on the banking architecture. It's always the same. There's always a three-tier architecture. It's always been done properly. The bank understands this for a long time. They always put firewall at every layer. They put redundancy. They spend generally a lot of money on hardware and software for that. Some of the better ones even have reverse proxies. But all in all, it's mostly done properly. Technologies, you basically have two. You have Java. The advantage of Java, I would say, is that it runs pretty much everywhere. Unfortunately, all those application servers have their own better feature and so on. And in fact, well, those beta features, of course, are not portable across application servers. So in the end, your J2A application is supposed to run everywhere, but it won't. Another thing for bank is that we don't really care if it runs everywhere, because what you have to remember for banking technology is that the application does almost nothing by itself. It's mostly the interconnection with the bank host. It's the integration parts of the bank application that is the biggest. The part that do all the business logic, which is fund transfer and all that, this is very, very, very small. .NET, so .NET, the advantage is that you run on one single platform. The only problem I personally have with .NET is that they allow programmers who should be shot to actually code just by clicking on buttons, and it works. Microsoft did a good job for that, is that it works. But the problem is that when you do not understand what you are doing, you will end up doing stuff you're not supposed to do, and of course we'll find it, and of course we'll hammer you with this. So the framework is a good framework. The problem is that people point and click without knowing what they're doing. So eventually, yeah, it won't work. We have Mono on the rest of the platform I mean, if your application run on .NET, but it's not mature yet. I would never run the banking stuff on Mono. So the funny part now, what is usually good within a bank, within a bank network to support the application? Usually, like I said, the network, system architecture, all that, banks understand this. There's plenty of guys out there who know how to do it, so the bank just put money on the table, get the guys to do it, and it's done properly. Session management is the single one on which all the banks spend all their money. They will come up with fancy authentication. All of them have a different one. Some of them have tokens, some have two-way authentication. They have all sorts of authentication. I'll show you later why this is all useless. Authentication will be useless in a minute. I'll show you why. It's very simple. In Singapore, we have password encryption from end to end, meaning from the client to the authentication box. So in other words, it means the bank never ever has your password. It's all in the black box. And of course, good quality trail, I need to explain a bit more. There is good accountability, good audit trails only for those successful and unsuccessful normal transactions. As in transaction that you haven't messed around, you just use the application. Succeed, succeed, fail, fail. Not something that you try to mess around with. When you try to mess around with it, we'll see later, there is no logs whatsoever, which is perfect for hackers. And well, I'm sorry, but that's all. All the rest is crap. Everything else. I will say in a minute just what is crap. Okay, what is usually not good? I want to apologize to any developers out there, because that's for you, this one. I'm sorry. I am a developer myself, so you know, some of this applied to me in the past and whatnot. That's probably also why I'm not a developer anymore. I don't like when people laugh at me for no reason. So yeah, programmers, I'll start by the bottom. Programmers, you are lazy. You really are lazy. I don't want to point fingers, but it's true. But I was as well. You're forced by your boss to use frameworks that are fantastic, do all sorts of things for you, but those frameworks don't adapt well to what is it that you have to do. Sometimes it's faster just to rewrite it. Don't be lazy. For developers out there, they will understand when I say this, you use the wrong hammer for the wrong thing. In whatever your job is, you always have a hammer. You always have 2 to 3 ways of doing it, and you have one favorite way of doing it. Now, regardless whether it's a good way to do it or not, you will use that way. So for programmers out there, you will use a tokenizer or regex, and you will use one and always use that one. Sometimes it's better to use one, sometimes it's better to use the other. And of course, people never log any errors, never ever. Bad quality code, that speaks for themselves. Be nasty with it, it's just going to die. And lack of input validation is basically the single biggest problem that happens with web applications in general. The thing is that on a lot of applications, it's pretty tough to do input validation. I mean, you depending on what parameter is it that you want to validate. In banking, it's very simple. We only validate numbers. We only care about numbers. Numbers, emails, and maybe 3 different types of data like this. So don't tell me you can't input validate these. There's nothing to be done. You do a library once, you keep on reusing it, and you're in business. So that's usually very bad.